until we get there, Dr. Clara is here on deck, and Dr. Clara Krebs comes to us again thanks to our title sponsor, Freedom Doc. I'm really so excited for you guys to hear from her. During our walkthrough Tuesday, she was already just kind of like,
she was ready to go. And I was like, I need to absorb everything that she's going to tell me.
Yes. Well, let's grab her. Hang tight. Let me find her hanging out over here. I think we've got her right here. I see you. Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me grab her. There she is. Hello.
There's not even sun up.
It's a little dark here.
What time is it there? Tell us.
3:41 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
There's your orchid right there.
Okay, I'll take it. Wow. Well,
Hi, Dr. Krebs.
and here's
Hi, everybody.
And I can tell you, after listening to Blessing, it is so worth it getting up early.
Good.
Oh my God, I want to go to brunch with her so badly.
It's just amazing. And
amazing.
as are you. We are so excited for you to bring this talk to our sisterhood today. And I know that you're really going to be focusing on how stress, oh my gosh, maybe I am under stress, affects women's health, and walking us through just being able to recognize some of those symptoms and signs, and even more. I don't want to preview it too much because you're the expert. So we're going to let you take it away. We're going to hop off of here. And if you need anything, we're obviously here in the chat. Just let us know.
Yeah, and I got your cell phone.
Yes, you
and
did.
So I'm not super technically, savvy. So let me get my everything going here. So we're going to do the screen share. Okay. All right, tell me, can people see now how boring I am? It's all just like, hold on. All right. Can everyone see?
We can see it. Looks great. Yep.
Okay, great. All right, so I'll get started. And sorry, I'm doing a little PowerPoint, and thank you so much to Blessing. I am so glad that I'm part of this community and I was invited to be a part of this. I was taking notes the entire time listening to Blessing, and I really want her to come to Kauai. I want everyone to come to Kauai, and let's do a big brunch. But what I'm going to be talking about is more of the medical aspect, and also sharing my own journey with burnout and how I've gotten to where I am with being a mom, being a physician, and changing my career after burnout and through COVID. So my talk is the Great Burnout, because I feel like a lot of us women and moms during the last 2 years, we realized that we were really burning the candle at both ends, and we're not alone, and there's some medical reasons for it, and there's some things that we can do. So I think I talked a little bit about the other day, one of my goals with speaking to the sisterhood is really bringing honesty to the conversation about our health, and honesty to the conversation about how to seek out health and how to heal ourselves. Women are inherently and physiologically very complicated. When we go through stressful times, having a child, taking childcare, COVID, there's a lot of very complicated physiological, hormonal, neurological things that happen. And so when we feel like we can't get up and do the things we need to do, when we feel like we're drowning, there are some things that we can do, and there are some reasons for that. Now, during my talk, I want to make sure that everyone understands I'm not talking about major depression. I'm not talking about, things that need to be diagnosed by your physician. I'm talking about burnout, and I'm talking about that like drowning feeling. And, if you have any question about whether or not it's real burnout, or if it's depression or a thyroid problem, please see your physician, because you do need to get some tests. This is not meant to be a blanket statement over everyone who's coming out of COVID. But what I want women to understand is our bodies really are a complex orchestra. And it's a really great analogy to understand how our hormones work, because we have this system over here who's playing this note, we have this system over here playing this other note, and we need to learn how to be the conductor of our systems. Because when we go into a physician or we go to see someone when we were really feeling like we're drowning, a lot of times we're not given answers that bring all of the components together because our hormonal systems and our neurological systems are so complicated. Another thing I want to say before I get started is I will be talking about some supplements, and please make sure that you talk to your physician about it, because it might not be right for women who are pregnant or women who are breastfeeding. So what is burnout? And Blessing beautifully touched on this. It is emotional, mental, and physical exhaustion. Physical exhaustion. So when I'm going to touch on the physical, I'm talking about the biochemical part of burnout. Now, we're at risk a lot of times as women when we get in situations where the reward of our work is not quite the same as the effort that we put in. But that's like what we do every day, right? So before COVID, we were constantly doing this, doing that, and constantly putting in effort, but the reward to begin with, for many reasons that Blessing already said, we weren't getting the feed that we need back with our community, the feed that we need to get back with the effort that we have, that we need with everything we're putting out with our children, our community. And a lot of that was lost because the lack of community, which is why I'm thankful to be part of this sisterhood today. I'm really excited to get a Hawaii connection going with everyone. And so, doing this presentation, I was thinking, okay, well, really traumatic overextension of ourselves really is, and especially for me, that is what really led to my burnout journey. And when I mean traumatic, I mean to the point where myself was forgotten, to the point where I overextended myself and gave myself so much that there was nothing left. And you know what, when you get to that point, when there's nothing left, the easiest thing to do is to take care of other people, because you've gotten to a point where it's really hard to take care of yourself. And that's the burnout cycle in my mind, is where you keep giving to others because taking care of that traumatic overextension is such a hard thing to do. So before, I know this is a busy slide, but before COVID, we were already set up for like a perfect burnout. So all the things that we have to do during the day, money, juggling all of the plates, the hustle, the being the boss mom, being, the deadlines, the news, the Facebook, the social media. And then I'm going to show a video because I thought this was hilarious. This perfectly, I feel like, at least described me before COVID. So it's, hopefully you guys can see this. This woman's hilarious. She is on Instagram, the new Stepford. Hopefully you can hear it.
I'm going to re-alphabetize the alphabet. It's all wrong. I'll explain later. I'm going to go fight the moon. Good night. Good morning. Thank you. I just had 9 cups of coffee. I can see inside out through time. I have no blood left, just vibration. I'm going to re-alphabetize the alphabet. It's all wrong. I'll explain later. I'm going to go fight the moon. Good night. Good morning. Thank you.
I mean, I think that's hilarious. That's the way I was before COVID, constantly trying to get the kids here, get the kids there, have the healthy lunch, be a physician, make sure I'm on all the committees. So just constantly self-medicating with coffee, just more and more cortisol, more stress on the system. So let's talk about why we're all burnt out after COVID, because most of us entered into COVID sort of like that. So increased cortisol, running around trying to, see God with coffee and trying to, fix the moon. Then we have COVID that comes in and there's a new threat. And our bodies, our biological systems do not know the difference between COVID and a saber-toothed tiger. They don't. We respond in the exact same way. And how our bodies respond is exactly like if we were running away from a tiger. Our lives now in modern day, living as moms, any little threat to our family, our livelihood, our existence is taken as a saber-toothed tiger. So our sympathetic nervous system kicks in. We have increased heart rate. We have increased blood pressure, dilated eyes, start breathing really quickly. Then our adrenal glands are turned on, increased cortisol. Our body is in high alert, So this happened when we started going through COVID. So what happens next? like I said before, we are a symphony of hormones, neuroendocrine systems, neurological systems, microbiomes. Women are inherently more complicated than men. I'm sorry, we just are. Which is why a lot of times when we see male physicians, bless their hearts, they can't really help us figure out what's going on. So when we put our bodies through chronic stress, like COVID, and remember we went into COVID already stressed, our cortisol goes up, it affects our estrogen, our progesterone, which affects our insulin, which affects our melatonin. It's a very delicate balance. And again, go back to the symphony, everything needs to play at the right tune. And so when we're out of tune, lots of things happen. We feel burnt out, and being burnt out is, we all feel it slightly differently. So my burnout story is pretty extra crispy. I like my fries extra crispy. I like to get evidently burnt out extra crispy. I felt like I was completely drowning. I got rid of self-care because it was easier to take care of my patients and, my kids more than myself. At the end of the evening, after staying late at work, I found myself on social media, scrolling through things that looked like real life that weren't real life, looking at the terrible things that were happening, which doom scrolling didn't help my psyche, did not help my soul. I gained weight. I was in bed all the time. My periods started to become irregular. I was comparing myself with other people on social media, and that led to more social isolation, which is why Blessing also mentioned this. Social media, it's good, but it's also not great. Also was losing hair, and I felt trapped, completely trapped. Then I would go to work and feel like I wasn't doing what I needed to do for patients because my brain was on high alert. I felt like I was being attacked by a saber-toothed tiger. When you feel like you're being attacked, your brain goes into autopilot, instinctual thinking. So you're not really using your higher thinking. You're just reacting. And by the way, that happens when we're at home as well. If you're burnt out and you're reacting to your loved one, your children, your friends, you just react. And that's instinctually what we do when we feel threatened. And so, my breaking point came when I started thinking, and by the way, this might sound traumatic, but it wasn't. It was kind of funny. I was thinking, I really need a broken leg vacation. I need to, maybe I'll just fall down the stairs and, break a leg, and then, nothing major, and I'll just be able to stay home from work. That would be great. I would love that. I need a break. It's bad when you want the broken leg vacation. But I'm sure that has happened to many people. By the way, that is not major depression. It was not thoughts of suicide. And that's, again, I want people to understand, if you're feeling that, you need to see your physician or counselor. This was, I just need a break. And I think I need to break my leg to get a break. So that also led to me feeling like an imposter, like I didn't belong where I was. Even all the work I did to become a physician, I felt like shouldn't have been there because my brain wasn't working like it should have been. And doing that for 2 years was honestly very traumatic. I could not pull myself up by my bootstrings to make things better. And I think that's a very common experience for women. And, going back to the honesty part of what I want to tell people is I felt like that. I felt like every day I got up and went to work, I felt like I was an imposter and I wasn't doing the best job. And let me tell you, when I went home I came home and with the kids, that was even worse. So I know a lot of other people probably felt that too. And again, honesty, we're sharing our journeys. It was really tough. So I'm going to help, I'm going to show you how I tried to get through it. So I went to see my doctor. So have you ever wondered what happens when a doctor goes to see a doctor? Well, it's basically the same thing as when you go to see a doctor. It was basically not that great. My appointment lasted 7.5 to 15 minutes. I was told my labs are normal. I'm probably going into early menopause. Thanks a lot. You should get some Zoloft, some counseling, and maybe you should get some birth control pills because your hair is falling out, and lose some weight while you're at it and exercise more and go on vacation. Yeah, that's right. No, that is not what I needed. And, that was actually this appointment and going through the burnout of of COVID helped lead me to my journey to becoming a direct primary care physician and starting my fellowship with functional medicine. Because us as women, when we go see a physician and we have these problems, we need more than 7 minutes. It's a complicated symphony of problems, and we don't need to be told everything's okay because your labs are normal and just take some Zoloft. There are lots of things we can do, and I'm going to show you some of the things we can do. So burnout basically for us women means neuroendocrine chaos. What that means, and I already touched on some of it, is that our nervous systems are turned on, high alert, saber-tooth tiger, and then our hormones, cortisol goes up, it changes our estrogen, progesterone, so we have hair falling out, blood pressure going up, our immune system's not working, we go on the autopilot, we wear and tear our muscles, we don't heal as well, our metabolism goes down because guess what? Evolutionarily, women under stress, when we're stressed out, our body does not want us to get pregnant, so we have fertility problems, and our body wants us to store food, be very efficient with calories. So we put on weight. So what do we do when we're women? We start putting on weight and we're stressed out. We start drinking the coffee, we start starving ourselves or doing the, a low-fat diet, which makes everything way worse, right? So there's lots of different symptoms of burnout. These are just some of them. Also, your thyroid starts dysfunctioning, your libido goes down, you're gaining weight, you can't get pregnant, you get acne, hair starts falling out here and showing up here. That really happens. Yeah, that happened to me. So yeah, so burnout really changes our symphony and we need to learn how to rebalance it. So here is the real prescription for how we change our symphony and how we get control of our own symphony. We need to focus on sleep. We need to focus on gentle movement. By the way, remember, anything we do when we're feeling burnt out is our body's already under stress. So we don't want to stress it out. So imagine you're being, your body's used to being chased by a saber-toothed tiger and you start a HIIT class for an hour and a half every day. That is not going to help your body rest and restabilize. The symphony is going to start playing, chaos. So just think about that analogy when we're talking about bringing ourselves back into balance, to bring the symphony back into harmony. So, and then stress reduction. Blessing started talking about that, and we have some other speakers that are going to be talking about the mindfulness and the prayer and setting boundaries. And I'm so excited about those speakers. I've got my notepad ready. Blood sugar stabilization. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a second, but super important to balance our hormones as women. Nutrition. We've been doing it wrong, and I'm going to show you how to do it a little bit better. And then we need to really pay attention to our microbiome, and then we need to start detoxing our bodies and our lives. And that's social media, that's getting rid of alcohol, that's pooping every day, and that can be just drinking a lot of water. And sometimes that honestly means detoxing people from our lives and jobs from our lives that don't really feed us. I'm also going to talk a little bit about the supplementation and some tools that we can use. So first off, the food. We want to feed our orchestra the right nutrients. So when I talk about what type of foods really balance our hormones and feed our bodies as women, I'm talking about whole food. You don't have to go and buy some packaged food. All you need to eat is food that looks like food. Focus on veggies. Add fat. Fat is our friend. I grew up during the days of snack wells where fat was the enemy. You just eat bagels. That is the wrong way to eat for women. We need fat because fat actually makes hormones. Fat helps us clear other hormones. And we also need protein. So go for the fat, go for the whole food, go for the veggies. When I'm talking about fat, really good fats, avocado oil, olive oil. Ghee, by the way, is great. It's clarified butter. Eat it a couple times a week. And then MCT is medium chain triglycerides. That comes from coconuts. And it's really good for your liver. It's really good for instant energy and mental clarity. 1 tablespoon a day. I'll get more to that later. So rainbow with berries. And then if you really want to get things kickstarted, 3 weeks of no alcohol, no vegetable oils, no gluten, no dairy, no added sugar, no processed foods. Okay. When I did this, I was about 80-20. Okay. I'm going to be honest. Like, we have to live real life when we have kids. I'm going to have a piece of macaroni every once in a while. That's okay. Doesn't have to be perfect, right? Not all of us are Gwyneth Paltrow and have, chefs and the Dalai Lama on speed dial. So do the best you can. Take 3 weeks to really put in, effort into the food. And you will definitely feel better. So this whole intermittent fasting fad, when you're stressed, again, think about when you're in burnout, something's chasing you. Do you want to starve yourself? No, you don't want to starve yourself too long. But 12 hours is the natural amount of time that our body should be without food. So, and that's very easy to achieve. Dinner 8 p.m. done, 8 a.m. have breakfast. So that helps your metabolism, helps clear your gut microbiome, helps clear your liver, and helps get you the metabolic flexibility. Please do not start intermittent fasting when you're stressed out. 12 hours is a normal cycle for a human. Do not stress your body when you're stressed. You're already down the stress road. You're only going to harm yourself more. Okay. Then the big thing for us women too is cruciferous vegetables, the broccoli, the Brussels sprouts, the kale, the radishes. Those are super important because it feeds bacteria in our gut that actually breaks down excess estrogen, because sometimes when we're stressed, we make too much estrogen, and we need to feed our gut microbiome so it helps us clear that estrogen. Cruciferous vegetables are key to it. And by the way, roasted cabbage is really delicious. By the way, I know it sounds gross, but it's really good. So another thing, food, sleep. We have to be sleeping. And I know that's hard. I'm up at 3 a.m. Do as I say, not as I do. But it's really important to be consistent. Every once in a while, getting up at 3 a.m. is not going to hurt you. Big points to take home with this. You need 7 to 8 hours. Try to be up by 7 a.m. We really want to keep our body cool, especially as, I'm 45 now. I'm starting to get hot flashes already. And I think part of that is from COVID. I'm entering in perimenopause a little early. I need to be cooled while I sleep. We actually decrease our cortisol levels, which is that stress hormone, which is going haywire because of burnout. We need to decrease that and really clear it while we're sleeping. And our body does that better when our internal temperature decreases by a few degrees. And the optimal temperature for that is 67 degrees. Now, I don't know about you guys, but my husband does not like it that cold. So there are a few tricks that we can do. There are these pads you can put on your bed, one called Chili Sleep. They have different ways to, and by the way, I'm not being paid by anyone to say this. I'm just saying this has worked for me. So you can decrease your temperature. It's a water-based cooling system that you just sleep on. You get cooled down, the hot flashes go down, your body temperature goes down, you're clearing your cortisol, you're getting a better night's sleep. And then this is also really important. And this is something I did, and it made a huge difference. The bedroom is only for 2 S's. No screens. It's for sleep and sex. Okay. Get the technology out of the room, get the phone out of the room, just the 2 S's. Okay. Make it a sanctuary for sleep and rest. And before you go to bed, I know this sounds, sort of strange, but you really want to start getting your house dark and quiet, turning off the LED lights. If we need to, start wearing some blue blocking glasses, but really start getting the house, darker. And so that's going to help kids sleep better. That's going to help you with your cortisol. It's going to help you get to sleep better. It's going to help you have better quality sleep. Then if we're still having, and I actually did this because I was having trouble sleeping during burnout, passion flower tea or taking passion flower supplements, they're very high, lots of research on it, improves quality sleep because GABA is a neurotransmitter that decreases anxiety. Another biohack for sleeping is when you get up in the morning, this really does work, by the way, go outside. If you're going to do emails, if you're going to do something, read, go outside and get natural morning light into your eyes for 30 minutes. That resets your circadian rhythm. That helps you release your melatonin when you want to go to sleep later, later that night. It helps you wake up. It helps a natural cortisol surge. It is such a free, important thing we've forgotten as human beings in modern life, especially over COVID. Sunshine in the eyes, half an hour every morning, 7 a.m. needs to be done. If you're in a place, I used to live in Seattle when I was doing my medical training, where you don't have sunshine at 7 a.m., you can get a light box, and it needs to be at least 10,000 lux. And so what I would do is just put that facing your eyes. That can be a temporary substitute, but sleep is very key. So another thing us women need to be very cognizant of, because again, the hormone symphony, we are constantly bombarded by xenoestrogens. What that is a compound that we don't want in us, that we don't know we're getting. It's in our makeup, it's in our shampoos, it's in our water, and it's binding to estrogen sites all over our body and increasing our risk for breast cancer, decreasing our natural hormones, and making it very difficult for us to maintain our cool during burnout times. So not only are we dealing with an orchestra, we're dealing with people trying to step into the orchestra who don't belong there, people who don't know how to play the tune. And that is the endocrine disruptors and the xenoestrogens. And how we try to decrease that is clean water. By the way, this is my own water filter. It's called a Berkey filter. It's a charcoal filter, and I really like it. It's sort of expensive, but it's also not as expensive as like installing a reverse osmosis. If you get the water filters and the that you put normally in your refrigerator, they really aren't as good as doing a gravity big charcoal filter. I'd really look into this. This has been around for a long time. Other things we can do, and by the way, I hate this. I used to love perfume, but fragrances, if it has fragrance in it, it's going to be an endocrine disruptor. It's going to mess with the symphony. So it's got to go. And then making sure that when we buy new makeup, don't go and throw out all your makeup, but when you need new stuff, get clean makeup. And then also what we clean our homes with, the Environmental Working Groups Guide, is really great for looking for a guide for that. And then another really important thing is the things we put in our vagina for feminine hygiene really need to be unscented, organic, feminine hygiene products. Really, really, really important. And of course, drinking from stainless steel and glass. So I talked a little bit about the microbiome before, but not many people know about the estrobolome. So it's a fancy word for the microbiome that takes care of part of our estrogen metabolism. So as women, our body produces estrogen, and then we have to get rid of the used up estrogen, or the estrogen, the too much estrogen. It goes to our liver and then excreted into our intestines. Once it gets there, there are specific types of microbes that break it down so it's not reabsorbed. If we aren't feeding our microbiome, we're going to reabsorb that estrogen. It's going to go back in the cycle. So we're just going to be feeding back into this estrogen cycle, and our orchestra is going to get out of sync again. So really, really, really important that we put the right types of food into our mouths to feed the gut microbiome. I like to think about the gut microbiome sort of like a fish tank. You need to have a really good, or more like a reef, a coral reef. You need to have lots of diversity so that everything works together. You want to feed it lots of different things. So lots of different colors. Again, the cruciferous vegetables specifically help the microbes that are part of the estrogen estrobolome. So, and by the way, there's lots of studies going on right now about the estrobolome and increased risk of breast cancer and increased risk of other cancers. So more to come about that. Basically everything in functional medicine is really about the microbiome right now. eat lots of, lots of variety, get rid of the alcohol. Again, I'm sorry, but we got to, prebiotics, probiotics, and lots of fiber. And then the omega-3 fatty acids, I'm going to go over supplements at the end, but if you're going to take a supplement, omega-3 fatty acids are anti-inflammatory, help heal your gut, and help feed your microbiome. And then ghee, I talked about this about fat before. Ghee has a specific fat in it that helps heal up your gut lining and helps you that estrogen metabolism help. And then fermented foods, there's so many studies with fermented foods that help with the anxiety, the burnout, the estrogen metabolism. You should be eating some sort of fermented food at least twice a day at a minimum. And that is kimchi, miso, tempeh, sauerkraut, yogurt, anything like that. We really, really, really need it as women. And then also we really need to decrease our exposure to anti-inflammatories, alcohol, again, antibiotics, and artificial sweeteners. Now, as a physician, when you are told you need an antibiotic, I mean, sometimes you really do need one, but really think and ask, do I need this, or what would be the, am I running low on time?
Yes,
This is your Oscars.
This is, yep.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let me go actually do one last thing. Okay.
Yeah, we heard the last slide was probably the best. So
Yeah. So if I actually had to say, when we are really burnt out, how do we get ourselves out of the burnout stage when you don't have any energy? There's a couple of ways and a couple of supplements you can do. So magnesium definitely is one of them. Also helps you poop. Ashwagandha is an adaptogen that helps decrease stress, but that's not a long-term solution. Vitamin D, we need all of, what's that?
Is it possible to snort that for faster absorption?
No, vitamin D maybe. But then the B vitamins we definitely need, and then the omegas, and then the roseola when you're feeling really, really low in energy, and then the probiotic and prebiotic. This is a really important slide, but can I have a few more minutes?
we've got like 1 minute.
Okay, great.
Perfect. Oh my gosh, these are all.
I think we're gonna have to do that.
Yeah, and we need to get. We definitely.
By the way, so let me wrap it up. Basically, everyone heard the most important parts. We need to learn how to become our own conductor of our symphony of hormones and neuroendocrine systems. Okay, my recipe and my prescription was detoxing from things that weren't beneficial: the alcohol, social media, gluten. Making sure I pooped, drinking a ton of water, then getting my food straight with the flax, the matcha. I didn't talk about matcha, but like I substituted coffee with matcha, getting lots of sleep with a chili pad, microbiome. I started using devices with the sugar and to maintain my sugar, and then journaling, which we're going to have someone talk about, and the supplements. And then remember, taking care of ourselves is much harder than taking care of other people. But we need to refocus our focus on ourselves. So there is a reason why they tell us to put the oxygen on ourselves first.
Such a good point. Gosh, Dr. Krebs, we definitely need to get a copy of this deck.
Oh,
from you.
this is my favorite one, you guys.
By the way, I love this quote, and it really spoke to me before this talk. How is Dolly Parton so amazing? She just is, right? So she said she credits all of her success to her mom telling her from the get-go, always keep something back for you. And always keep the focus on yourself before you give it to other people. I think that's a really important thing.
That's such a great quote to resonate, I think, for everyone today. And that's definitely one of the takeaways I'm writing.
Dolly always gets it.
She's amazing. Speaking of amazing, Dr. Krebs, it's so early for you. I don't know that I would be able to even function in a 8, what you just done. B, we are so grateful to you for being with us this morning. And
absolutely.
These resources are incredible. I can't wait to share this with everyone.
I know, I'm so excited.
And by the way, if people want books to just supplement what I was talking about, these are some very, very good books.
Awesome.
We are literally watching the chat and seeing people say, okay, I'm adding this to my Amazon cart. So, and Tiffany, I think that was the two of you. Definitely, here you go. Here's some more. So, Dr. Krebs, thank you so much for being
Welcome.
this morning with us with Sisterhood and
Bright and early.
Yes,
Thank
super
you.
bright and early. We appreciate you so much.
Absolutely.
We've got links to continue connecting with you here in the